You have now joined the Education Evolution. This is a podcast for the thinkers, the doers, and for those that know the most important lessons are not always taught in school. I am your host, Lindsay, affectionately known as Miss Black, and you are listening to Tech Evolution. If this is your first time listening or your 100th time, hey, oh my gosh, you are in the right place right now. And this space is all about learning and technology because technology keeps evolving, and so should the way we learn, work, and grow. Have you or anyone you've known like wondered what AI in the classroom actually looks like? Have you seen those news articles that are highlighting the fact that we're moving towards a very high rate of illiteracy? If you had a child that needed to learn how to read, could you do it right? And that is no shade because my answer is no, baby, and I actually used to be in the classroom. So I want you to keep all of these questions in mind as we get into the core topic of today. And I am highlighting like one of my very favorite AI tech resources for the classroom. And I've done a lot of research. I've done a very big deep dive because I just chose not to ignore, not to be afraid of AI, but to really think about how it can multiply our possibilities and opportunities within the classroom. And I landed on a software called Amira Learning. Amira Learning is an AI powered reading tutor. Okay, stay with me. So it listens to kids read aloud and then it gives them personalized coaching in real time to help them become stronger and more confident readers. And, that's just the whole point. So, a little deeper dive into what Amir Learning is. It is essentially an intelligent reading assistant. So, like I said, it listens to the students read out loud, and then it's analyzing for their reading fluency, for pacing, for any errors they might have. And then it coaches them immediately, like gives them feedback, might give them small lessons. It also provides reporting and information to the teacher so the teacher can actually intervene when necessary. Because the point of the mirror learning is not to replace teachers. Crazy. The point of the mirror learning is to support teachers in providing a personalized experience for students who are learning how to read. It's used primarily for students that are elementary level, so K through 5. So this might be emerging readers. This might be students who still need some support and comprehension. I really love that it has a lot of language diversity within it. And so it understands a lot of different dialects. So even students who are learning English are benefiting very greatly from Amira learning. So let me kind of explain to you how it works. Students are now being assessed initially, right? But they're being assessed through speaking into a microphone. The AI Amira Learning bot is listening and it's scoring the students' reading. So it's listening for miscues, it's identifying some mistakes, like maybe like skipped words or like any hesitations. And it's also measuring the word count per minute. Really quickly, the AI coach is able to analyze the struggles, and then Amira will jump in with support. So, like phonics tips, reading prompts, or help decoding words. And that teacher is able to see a dashboard. So educators are able to have real-time data on their reading proficiency, on their growth, and then be able to decide if intervention is needed. So like I said, they're working in tandem, nothing is replacing the other. This is so important. And the reason I'm so excited about this particular AI bot is because it is outperforming high dosage in person one on one tutoring. And essentially, we are just at a point in America where teachers, literacy coaches, they just need support. There's too many students that have these gaps. And some people want to say the gaps are from COVID, but there were gaps before, especially in comparison to America and to other countries when it comes to literacy. So it's really great that this particular AI platform is super duper intentional and really focused on designing a personalized path for this student so that they can become super confident in their reading ability. Because what ends up happening is students are learning to read, right? A little bit of pre-K, but definitely K up to third. And then it's at third grade when there's like this significant switch where students are now reading to learn. So they have to read those informational texts to understand various facts. They are reading books to master some ELA standards. Hell, they're reading in math, y'all. So it's really important that students are able to read by third grade, and Amira Learning helps with closing some of those gaps before they get to third grade. Some real life examples right now that are out there, some large school districts that have adopted Amira Learning, San Francisco Unified School District. They are actually on record saying that Amira Learning has supported in increasing their literacy rate. And I want to be specific about their literacy rate because they have made tremendous gains. I don't know, the most interesting one to me is their kindergartners who identify as African American or Pacific Islander. They've increased by 13% points in a year. Like, think about it. They standardized tests one year, Academy or Learning took another test, and now they've increased by 13%. So now their whole entire district within those kindergarten classes is over 50% in mastering reading. So that's really awesome. Like a 13% gain anywhere is insane, but especially within the classroom. The state of Georgia has named it its only state approved free universal reading screener. That is just such a big deal, y'all. So if you haven't, I would ask you to go look up at Mirror Learning because this platform is doing some really cool things. Now the question comes, what does this like really mean in terms of impact? And now some people may classify me as a dreamer. And I'm okay with that, but I really like to think of myself as someone who is an innovative thinker, a revolutionary thinker. Okay. So I'm thinking outside of the box as to what this AI platform can do. And I think, well, we all know that it can increase literacy rates, which is already being proven to be true. And this means less arguments in the comments on Instagram because we are no longer arguing with people with low comprehension. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's right around the corner. And then on a more serious note, students will be better at understanding what they are consuming. So I said earlier that third graders are now reading to learn. So that's within the classroom. And we know that social media has a real impact because students are consuming so much information. And so I'm really excited for the comprehension levels to increase so that no matter where they are with whatever platform, they're able to comprehend and think critically, because that's always the next step for me. A decrease in teacher workload. It's coming. I think it's coming on a national level. Okay, this might be my dreamer thinking, but I'm biased. Teachers are being asked to do way too much. And I have not heard anything about a real serious push for an increase in teacher pay on the national level. So this AI tool is actually going to free up teachers with less planning and less one-on-one tutoring because the Amira Learning is actually going to do that for them. It's going to be amazing for those teachers that are pushing in to support literacy, but also these teachers are teaching every subject in most elementary schools. So it's hard to know how to master the math content and the science content to be able to teach it to students and also teach them how to read. More power to you. And now this one might be a little crazy, but hear me out. Hear me out. Standardized testing has a really bad rep, really bad name. And I'm not saying that I'm not in support of standardized testing. I am in support of like equity, and I am in support of us knowing where students are on like a baseline level. And standardized testing does allow for that. Everybody is being tested on the same standards no matter what state they live in. One of my issues with standardized testing is that there's only one way for students to really show their learning. Like, it's on a computer. They have to type. Like, yes, they can like draw stuff out and use scratch paper, but they have to be able to type and they have to be able to demonstrate their learning through typing. There's a lot of processing that goes through the child's brain in order to get to them fingers clicking and clacking. Now, what if they with me? What if students were able to demonstrate their learning on a standardized assessment through verbal communication? Think about it. If Georgia's already made Amira Learning their statewide screener, right? What if research comes out that shows that students are demonstrating mastery, yes, because they're getting tutoring, but also because they're able to verbally explain and verbally share their understanding and not just type it out. I think that Amir Learning can set a precedent for what standardized testing should look like and what it can look like if we keep having dreamy thoughts, but really revolutionary thinking on how standardized testing can shift for the betterment of students having the opportunity to demonstrate their understanding. Think about it. AI tools in education, used the right way, I think can really be groundbreaking for some of the goals that we have for our nation within the education system. And I think it can really just up the ante on what we want to see in our children. I'm Lindsay, affectionately known as Miss Black. And if this conversation has sparked anything in you, I would ask you to share this with someone that you know is in the classroom, or maybe share it with somebody that is like super anti AI. I think it's important that we are providing people an opportunity to open their eyes to the possibility of how AI can really shift the dynamic within the education system. I'm not saying AI needs to be everywhere, y'all. Let me just put that on record. But I really do think it can create the change that we wish to see in our education system and what we've been begging for years. If you're watching on YouTube, drop your personal thoughts in the comments. Is this something you could have benefited from as a kid? Would standardized testing be more accurate or less stressful if kids were allowed to express their understanding verbally? And to our Instagram family that is listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, join the discussion under our most recent post so we can keep this conversation going. And with that, I wish you a wonderful week full of random acts of kindness that shift the trajectory in your day in the most positive way. I'll see y'all next time.